Welcome back to In Conversation with Christina. Today we're diving into a conversation that every business owner needs to hear. And this is all about how to regulate your nervous system and how it plays a crucial role in business growth, decision making, and success. My guest today is Hannah. She's a business coach who helps purpose-driven women expand their nervous system capacity so that they can step into their full potential and create a big impact with their gifts. We're going to talk about why stress, fear, and overwhelm can show up in business and how they're all tied to the nervous system, and also, most importantly, how you can learn to regulate your nervous system and expand your capacity to hold more success. So let's dive into this conversation. Welcome to the podcast. For those who haven't met you before, what do you do and who do you serve?
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be doing this. I feel like this has been like in the pot cooking for a hot minute since we met. Was that a year ago that we met last year when we went to Kind?
Yeah, literally probably, well, it would have been like 8 months ago we caught up
Yeah.
for the first time in Bali.
How good. It's here. It's happening.
Yeah.
So my name is Hannah and I am a business coach who specifically helps women in the coaching space or the facilitation space, healers as well, who are looking to really create profitable businesses online. And the way in which I do this is like a two-pronged approach. So I help them with business strategies. So the three kind of key pillars of that I help them with is the creating their offer, so nailing their delivery, also helping them with their marketing, so specifically their messaging so that they can attract in their ideal clients, and also the systems for selling. So really nailing that so that they're not just showing up on social media for no reason, they're actually creating conversions. So there's that side of it, which is really important. For any business, you need strategy. But it's literally 20% of what creates our success. The other 80% is our nervous system. So that work is something I'm really passionate about, because when I started my business, my nervous system was cooked and I had these beautiful goals, but I wasn't actually able to implement them. So the strategy is like the plan. So people will come to me and say, I'm ready to hit a 10K month. I'm like, great, here's the plan. But not everyone actions the plan. A lot of people will go away and see that and get overwhelmed or get stuck in fear. And something's holding them back. And if you don't understand where that's rooted, you can start making it very personal. And maybe then you don't actually fulfill your goal, like you don't actually move forward because you think, maybe that's not actually for me, when in fact it's just a pattern in the nervous system. So this is why I feel like I love the nervous system work, because like no limiting story or belief or pattern that's showing up for you, it doesn't have to continue playing out in that way, because the nervous system is malleable. So what that means is we can choose it. We can consciously rewire it if we choose to. We have conscious choice. So that allows us to really step back into the driver's seat of our reality then. It's not to say that limitations aren't going to come your way. They probably will, because it's new. You're taking new action. You're stepping into a new version of you. But the nervous system work gives you the tools to move beyond that and like just fully be the creator of your life, not just in business, but in relationships, with your money, like with all areas of life. If you don't know how to understand yourself from a nervous system level, you actually aren't the creator. So I feel like that's really what I help people to do, is take their power back and become the creator of their life through the strategy and nervous system work.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think I'm like so excited, like selfishly for myself, to like dive into this conversation, because as a business owner too, I'm like, there is so much uncertainty that comes with business. And especially when it comes down to the nervous system, like there is so much that you have to hold, have to navigate. And I'm like, I can't wait to just pick your brain on all the things. But how long have you actually been in business now?
For 5 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. And have you seen the journey yourself where you've gone from starting business to be overwhelmed, all of those things, to now in a place where you're like, cool, like I've got this, I have the tools, I know how to work with my nervous system? What's that journey kind of been like for you?
Oh my God. So huge. So what happened for me was I moved to Australia like 6 years ago, and actually it could be 7 years ago now. The time is like it was 2018, so whenever that was, I moved to Australia, and I moved there to actually pursue a career in science, and I started within probably 6 months of being in that career, I realized my entire life was out of alignment. I wasn't happy. I was starting to wonder, like, why did I even choose this career to begin with? Have I ever made any decision that was genuinely for me? Or has my whole life just been doing something in order to receive validation from others? Like I was having, I guess, an awakening to the choices that I had made up to that point. With that came, I guess, me trying to figure out, well, what's going to happen next? What do I want? If this isn't it, if this isn't the dream life I thought it was, I thought moving to Australia, like that was the goal for so many years. And then I was there, I landed the job, got the car, I had this boyfriend, like all the things that I thought were my goals, like tick, 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 and I still felt empty. And I was just like, why? If this isn't it, what is? So that's kind of what started the self-discovery journey of understanding myself and what actually genuinely felt like a yes for me, not for everyone else. And that got me into understanding about manifestation work and mindset work. And when I tell you I binged podcasts, it was like on a whole new level because a lot of the time when I was in that job, I was driving for it could be up to like 8 hours in one day. So I was like not realizing I was doing it at the time, but I was actually rewiring my mind because I was spending up to 8 hours a day with these incredible mentors. And I was starting to naturally then think in different ways and think more like expanded. And I was like, podcasts are literally changing my life. And then I was starting to think maybe like I could help other people with what I'm learning right now because it's having such a big impact on me. And I was really excited about that. Like when that dropped in for me, it was like the first time I guess I ever felt like maybe a real sense of like purpose of like I'm learning such cool shit right now. I just want to share this for the sake of sharing it. And so I started to, like, I guess, reverse engineer how I could make that happen. So the obvious things, okay, I need a mic. Okay, I need some branding. Like the things that were actually easy in that process, tick, tick, doing it all. And then the day came where I was to sit down and record the podcast. And then I woke up to some shit. I was calling the podcast Magic Mindset, and I laugh about it now because what I realized was I had been doing so much mindset work, I guess, up to that point, like actioning the stuff that was done, that was spoken about in the podcast, journaling, meditation, like connecting with my future self, all of that. But I didn't realize that there was so much suppressed trauma in my nervous system. So when I sat down to record the podcast, my body said no, and I just couldn't understand it. So I recorded another podcast, and it was like when I reflect on it now, it was like nothing was ever enough. I kept thinking I needed to refine certain things or speak in a better way, or like, oh my God, you took a breath in a weird way. How dare you? Like you sniffled in that podcast, delete it all. Like I was really perfectionist, I guess. Like those kind of tendencies were playing out for me, but really that was just a protection mechanism because for as long as I listened to that, I didn't actually have to be seen or take up space, or be visible. So that's where I was starting to see I have massive visibility fears, and that's my nervous system in play, and you can't outthink that when it's a protective mechanism that your body is like. Ultimately the reason that was coming up for me is because my body was trying to keep me safe, but my mind couldn't understand why. It was like it felt like my body was against me. And then we can very easily, if we don't have the right tools and awareness, fall into victimhood around that, because then you can think, well, why am I this way? Oh, it's this person's fault. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. It's like outwardly focused, and that definitely happened to me for a while. So that podcast, it's funny that we're doing a podcast today because that podcast was such a big awakener for me with the nervous system work because it showed me in real time where my work actually was. And it set me on a deeper journey. So up to that point, I think I had just been focusing on the mindset work. Then I realized mindset probably isn't enough for what I need. And I started learning about the nervous system. And that led me down really interesting. A really interesting space where I felt empowered again. Of like, I'm not actually a victim to circumstance. I'm not a victim of my past. I actually get to choose. Yes, this is annoying right now. Yes, I feel really afraid right now, but it doesn't have to always be this way. Like, I actually get to create my reality. And so I did a lot of healing on myself around like why that was playing out for me. And through doing that work in combination, and this is so important, and I really hope this lands for everyone, in combination with actually taking action, new action, and being seen and taking up space, that's what helped me to fully rewire that pattern in my nervous system and then go on to create the business that I truly desired. Not just like to start a podcast. I've actually have yet to start that podcast, but actually just take up space online. And you know, the reason I wanted to start that podcast was because I wanted to create a community, an online community. I wanted to help women. I wanted to move to Bali, like all of these things. And this is now my life because of the work that I did on myself then. All because actually, like, because I responded to a moment where I thought that I couldn't have the thing, and I didn't let that be my fate. I actually let it be the reason that I would heal and expand and move beyond the patterns that currently existed. And I think that's the opportunity that's available for so many people. And it's such an unlock. Like, it's such a mindset shift. You don't then look at problems as problems anymore, because you're like, holy shit, this is just a pattern in my nervous system. That's it. I currently feel limited right now. Celebrate it. Actually celebrate it, because that's the gateway to your healing and expansion. And I think that's what we're here really on this earth to do, is to expand and to grow. And ultimately, like, what I realized in that whole journey was I'm actually enough. I'm actually whole as I am right now. And it's okay if I get judged. It's okay if people think I'm weird. It's okay if I sniffle. Like, whatever weird thing was playing out for me, I'm enough and I'm whole. And I think that's really what I help other people come back to as well with the work that I do, because I think business is, it's soul work on the deepest level. And that's also the opportunity that we have when we move forward with whatever goal or desire that we have. There's going to be moments where maybe you lose sight of that, but then if you do the work, you'll land back in the deepest knowing that you are inherently whole just as you are, and that's freedom. And when you unlock that internally, your external world then shifts. And whatever desire that you're actually working towards, it will come to fruition, because you're showing up as the whole worthy version of you.
Yeah, I love that. And I think like one, your story is like so beautiful, and it's so cool to like even sit here and like see you speak to it, because it's like you can tell it's so like embodied and it's so much of your journey. And I think there's so many things that we can dive into like throughout that whole conversation. And it's like there is evidence there and proof for everyone wherever you are on your journey that it's like you can make change like from today. Like you don't need to pay thousands of dollars and do X, Y, and Z. Like there is podcasts, there is so many tools and resources and communities available to then do that. So I just really love that. And I love seeing you just like shine in, you know, your business and all the different things. For people that don't really understand the nervous system, can you do a quick snapshot of like what is the nervous system, how it plays up? Just for, I guess, like the people that are like kind of like, I know a bit about the nervous system, but like I don't really know about the nervous system.
I love this question. So the nervous system, a lot of people are speaking about it, but I think few people actually understand what it even is. So the nervous system, specific to this conversation, we're speaking about the central nervous system. So that includes the brain and the spinal cord. And what the nervous system does is we're communicating messages bidirectionally. So from brain to body and body to brain. So it's ultimately the mind-body connection. That's what it is. So within our nervous system, we have 5 key states. And the purpose of the nervous system and these states is ultimately to keep you safe. That is it. Like, it's your inner bodyguard. It loves you. It's here for you. And it's just trying to keep you alive on planet Earth so that you can do your thing and follow your goals, whatever else. So these 5 states, we have safety, our zone of safety. We also have fight, flight, fawn. That one is typically missed by people. Fawn is like people pleasing, and freeze and shut down. So they're the 5 states. Now, when it comes to a regulated nervous system, some people think that in order to be regulated, you just need to be in safety 24/7. We need to be out skipping in that rice field outside and just living our best life and singing Kumbaya. That's part of regulation, that you access that state, but it's ultimately not what a regulated nervous system really is. A regulated nervous system is one that can move through all of the states and respond accordingly to the environment at hand. That's actually what it is. So, and also be able to access blended states. So right now we're having a conversation. We're sat here in this villa in Bali. We're safe. The aircon's on. Like, we're good. Like, we're having this chat. It's good vibes. So I would be accessing safety, but I also need to have my brain turned on in this moment and be like present, and also be able to respond accordingly and use my brain fully. So I would actually, in a healthy way, be accessing some fight or flight right now, so that I'm mobilized, I'm present, I'm here, I'm actively listening, I'm giving you my all with my responses. That's a good thing. Also, if you're like meditating and you're dropping into that state, you're accessing a blended state of safety and freeze. That's a good thing, sign of a healthy, regulated nervous system. And if, let's say, something happened in this room, the ceiling, let's say, falls down, right? And chaos, the cameras are falling over. We're like, oh my God.
Things everywhere.
And let's say a snake falls out of the ceiling, right? Okay, we're visualizing this whole thing. A snake falls out and we're like, oh my God, okay, I'm not in safety anymore. Now safety is not needed. So we need to get up and actually get out of here because there's a snake and it's obviously dangerous. Let's say we can't get out. The door is locked. And now we're freaking out. So our nervous system is now going to like look for other ways. It's going to stay in this fight flight energy to look for ways to get out, because it will always, it's kind of like a ladder. So it's right now our nervous system is scanning, is this environment safe? So it will keep us in our zone of safety. If it perceives that this environment isn't safe, but I can do something about it. So for example, snake falls out of the ceiling, I can do something about it. We're going to look for ways to do that. Can we open the door? No, I can't. Can I break the glass? Okay, like we're going to try and do things. If for some reason we believe that it's unsafe, but we actually can't do anything about it, then we drop into freeze. Because imagine we weren't in a room that was full of glass, the keys were gone and we had no way out. And now we're stuck in here, and it's not one snake, it's 10 snakes, and now we're surrounded by snakes. Our nervous system is actually going to protect us by shutting down, because we're either going to get hurt or something bad is going to happen, we could potentially die. And so our nervous system is like, let's shut down so that you can actually withstand the pain of what's potentially about to happen. So that's why we have those. So yeah, they're the different states. And in that situation, if we responded to all of that in that way, it's not a sign that you're dysregulated. It's a sign that you're actually responding in accordance to what's being presented to you in the moment. But let's say we got out, right? We're good. We went through that whole chaotic experience. Now we're checking into a 5-star hotel, and we're going to chill out, right? We get to the hotel, and maybe like after a while, your nervous system, maybe one of our nervous systems, actually was able to return back to safety, because we were able to meet the needs. We were able to process the stress that just happened in the body. And so that it didn't stay stuck within the body, it was released and we returned back to regulation, right? That's how we know it's regulated. We can go into those states, but we don't stay there. Dysregulation, a dysregulated nervous system is one that stays in survival. So maybe that situation was too much to handle and you didn't have the right tools to process the energy that happened, or you didn't feel safe enough to. That energy can stay stuck in the body. And then you stay stuck in survival until you feel safe enough to process that, or you have the right tools and the right support. When we're in that zone of survival, the lens that we perceive reality through is fear. So that fear that you felt in this room with the snake, now you're actually perceiving reality through that, even though you're not in that room with the snake anymore. So that's, I hope, explains it.
Yeah, no, that's like, even for me, I'm like, I know about the nervous system and things like that. And it's a similar because I work with my clients on the emotional regulation side of things with food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not using food as like the only source of regulating your body, nervous system, all those things. But the way you explained it, I'm like, I've never heard it explained like that. And I'm like sitting here, I'm like, wow, that's so clearly articulated, which I love. For someone that feels like how would a business owner know that they're constantly stuck in survival mode? Like, what would be the symptoms and things that come up? I know you mentioned fear,
Mm-hmm.
but what else would be coming up if they're like, the business owner is listening today and they're like, yeah, I feel like I'm always on edge and like whatever it is, like what are those symptoms and signs to say that your nervous system is dysregulated, sorry, and then what would you suggest if
Mm-hmm.
someone can pinpoint and like see themselves in that place at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also love this. And it's a big part of the work that I do with people as well, because we can't change what we're not aware of. We have to first be aware first, like, because it's normal to feel like stress on certain days, but then you're trying to maybe decipher, am I just stressed or am I actually dysregulated? And it's important to be able to understand that so that you can support yourself in the best way. So the different zones of the nervous system that I spoke to, safety, free, fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, they all have a different set of thoughts and bodily sensations. They're the kind of main things I'll probably speak to in this. Beliefs also are something to take note of, but we'll just talk about like emotions and bodily sensations. So with your and thoughts, sorry, with how you feel in fight, that's going to be, it's like a mobilizing energy. So think about if you're actually going to like fight someone, you're moving towards the threat. So in business, what that could look like is you feel like you're constantly chasing outside something outside of you. So it could be a revenue mark. It could be the next client. It could be the 10K month. But maybe you're on a journey and you've actually landed there. And so it's this constant pursuit of like, I'm chasing something, I'm chasing something, I'm chasing something outside of me. But even when I'm there, I still don't feel like the need is met. So it's anxiety is a big thing here, overthinking things, helicopter coaching. Anything where you feel like, even like, let's say you feel like you have to cold DM 300 people a week in order to reach a certain
Sounds trauma.
starting to like reach your goal. It's like you're constantly chasing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fight. Flight is the opposite of that. So you're running the opposite direction. So this is if you're avoiding something or procrastinating, like those kind of tendencies usually show up with flight. Another thing, or perfectionism, like let's say you're spending hours like doing your branding and nitpicking the things behind the scene because ultimately you're running away from the thing that you know that you need to do, which is just like show up and post the story or like show up and do the podcast, something of that nature. Then fawn is people pleasing and lack of boundaries. So if you're noticing that continuously in your business, then it could be a sign that you're in this zone quite a lot and experiencing dysregulation. And then freeze and shut down. This usually happens when you're ignoring all the other signs for a prolonged period of time, and then your nervous system goes into burnout, overwhelm, you can't make decisions, that kind of thing. So there are just telltale signs that you're in those zones. I actually have a nervous system audit that I'm happy to share with your listeners so that they can actually have the take-home tools to make this like really easy for them to audit their own nervous system and see where they're sitting on that chart, so that then will be able to support themselves to regulate, because every zone of the nervous system actually needs a different set of tools. So if you are in freeze and shutdown, let's speak about breath work. So breath work for someone who's in a shutdown state, they actually need something activating. So like a Wim Hof style breath is amazing. When I had that whole podcast experience, what I realized was I was like pushing for ages. So I was in that zone of fight or flight for a long time. And then because I ignored that, I dropped into like burnout and I was completely overwhelmed. I felt like I couldn't do anything. And then what I discovered breath work and this Wim Hof style, and I was like, whoa, like it reconnected me to my body. I was able to process a lot of the energy that was keeping me there. And then after a while, I realized as I started to move up to fight or flight, because ultimately this is what happens. So there's like a ladder. So if you were to visualize like safety being on the top of the ladder, fight, flight, fawn being in the middle, and at the bottom of the ladder, it's freeze and shut down. So if you're down here in freeze and shut down, in order to return back to safety, you actually need to move through fight or flight. So sometimes when people they might feel like, oh, I was really disassociated, but now I'm feeling anxious. That's actually a sign that you're healing. And you need different, let's say, breath work tools for different zones of this nervous system. So it will go from active then to something that's more regulating. So like a coherence breath or something like that. And that allows you to move back up to safety. So it's important to know where you're sitting in your unique nervous system, because everyone is different. And it doesn't matter, like you could have brothers and sisters, like siblings who grew up in the same house, exposed to the exact same environment, situations, trauma, beliefs, everything, but have entirely different nervous systems. So it is so important that you are auditing your own and seeing where you sit. And something that I'm really big on as well is like, I'm not going to tell you to answer 5 journal prompts and say that's your nervous system audit. How I work with people is monitor yourself over at least the space of a week. Ask yourself the same questions and notice your patterns, because that's going to show you where you're really sitting. How much time were you in that zone for that day? What's that looking like over a prolonged period of time? Is there a certain zone that you visit frequently? So typically people have 1 or 2 zones that that's their like home away from home. That's what we say in the nervous system, where like home is safety, but then we might our home away from home, we're on holidays, maybe in dysregulation for a little while. It can typically be 1 or 2 primary states. So it's just having that awareness so that you can really support yourself and evolve, because no matter where you are, as soon as you're conscious of it, then you have choice. So you get to ask yourself, is this serving me? If yes, cool. Keep doing what you're doing. If no, cool. There's tools to support you so that you can heal. You don't have to stay there. Like, you have the power to change and create that change. It's just about getting the right support. So I'm happy to share that with you, so to get people, your community, started on that journey.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'll add the audit down into the bio for people to like have a look at it and grab it for themselves. When we talk about, and let's just go with like a random example. And actually no, let's use an example for me. Like, let's use me as a case study. In business, I find that my normal thing that I can go to is like the scarcity, right? And feeling like I need to, like, if I need to do something, like, I won't procrastinate it. Like, it's more so of like, I will continue to do, and I need to consistently do more. Whereas like my thing is like, okay, cool. Like, I need to actually just like sit and allow the things to, generate, compound. So I probably then sit more so in the the fight, section of like the nerve system, and like that would be quote unquote my like home away from home. Practical tools, like when you have someone and you're working with them and you're like, cool, we've recognized this is what comes up. Is it a belief underneath it that is then fueling that fight response, that freeze response, that whatever? Is it these limiting beliefs that, for example, like there's never enough to go around, like I need to work more harder to make more money? Is there these like conditioned beliefs underneath these nervous system responses that then make someone play out a response?
Yeah, nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. So I do like two styles of work with the clients that I work with. So one is actually addressing the root cause. Like, why is this happening? You can't do that until, of course, you first see it. And I love that you actually picked up on that as well. Like, that's exactly the state that you would be in if you're noticing those patterns of scarcity and like, I need to do. That is 100% fight mode, because you're like fighting for your life, and it's like constantly chasing something outside of you in order to feel something. It's meeting a need. And the truth is, like, the crux of nervous system dysregulation really comes down to one thing, and it's that we have outsourced our safety to something outside of us. And the truth is, we are the only ones in control of our safety. And if you can remember at the start of this, I said the nervous system's number one goal is safety. If it thinks it's outside of you, it's always going to chase it outside of you because there's a belief that it isn't within you. It's outside. So whether that's business, whether that's money, whether that's clients, it will always be something, and it's always going to be chasing, chasing, chasing. So in order to rewire that, you have to acknowledge, where is that playing out? And in the moment, respond in a new way. In the moment, address the root, meaning the belief that you're saying, like, why am I actually feeling this way? Okay. And like some people, they're not actually even thinking like I'm in a scarcity mindset. But for me, at least, I feel it in my body first. It's like this mobilizing energy of stress, of anxiety. The moment I feel that in my body, I'll like have a moment to myself of, okay, there's something here. My body is telling me something. Great. This is a win. I'm seeing it. It's not unconscious anymore. Now I get to understand what is playing out, what belief is here. So I have this process. I feel like I shared this with you once before as well, that I use in the moment that I find really helpful, and it's called rain. So like rain falling from the sky. So if I felt something in my body of that nature, whether it's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever it is, and I'm aware of it, I have this tool in my back pocket that I will pull out at any time, and it's easy. Within 2 minutes, I'll have understood what belief is here and what's my work to actually evolve beyond it, expand beyond it, because nervous system regulation is good, doing breath work and calming yourself down and speaking kind to yourself, but like, how are you actually moving beyond the pattern? So, and this requires actually addressing the root cause, not just trying to gaslight yourself to think a different way. So, or is recognizing. So you've done that in the moment. As soon as you recognize that energy in your body, this is the most important thing that I think a lot of people skip over, is just allowing yourself to feel how you're feeling. Because when we typically feel any dysregulated state, we're usually running away from it, which is further adding pressure onto the body of like, I need to fix this, I can't be feeling this, I'm dysregulated, I need to change it, I need to heal it, it's like I need. We're staying in fight energy when that's there. So automatically, when you allow yourself, that pressure gets released. You're not judging yourself, you're not shaming yourself, you're just opening up space for your humanness to be there, because this is a normal human response. We all feel it at some point of our lives, we all do. So once you allow that to be there, you're actually then going to be able to have more access to your brain. Your prefrontal cortex, your thinking mind, is going to be able to come back online because there's compassion. Compassion is an emotion that is associated with safety. Compassion, love, that gratitude, all that energy is safety. The more that you can access that, the more you'll actually move into that zone and access the full brain, because otherwise your amygdala is going to be running the show. Your stress response is going to be running the show, and fear is going to run the show, and it's going to be a whole different ball game. So once you kind of have that access to your brain, you can start to get curious. What is playing out? What fear is here? Why am I fearing that? So for you, for example, like when scarcity is showing up for you, like what is actually the fear?
With the scarcity piece, what kind of comes up for me is like, there is this fear of like, there's never, enough to go around. I need to like work harder, like money is hard to come by. Like, I think the scarcity for me comes a lot back to like my money beliefs. And I know that comes back to growing up in a family environment where it's like money was always stressful. There was always fights about money. Like there was a lot of chaos in my house around money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I know that I've grown up with these beliefs around like money's hard to come by. You need to save every cent, like all of these things, right? From a very scarcity mindset. And so again, that's me, that I recognize that. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like I've taken, those on, that's my conditioning. But otherwise, like I now have so much I can change, right? And so much that I can implement and rewire that. And I feel like I've done a lot of work around that. But when I notice what comes up when the scarcity is there is because my nervous system will get like dysregulated due to like whatever. And it's like, it still will then go back to sometimes that, right? I think when you're a business owner, it can be very destabilizing, right? In the sense of like, the nervous system, money, income, right? If we literally just look at income, it's like, you know, we're not guaranteed like you're getting 100 grand this year and it's going to come every week at this amount of, like, you know, it's like money goes like this. And so I think for me as well, like a lot of my work over even the last 6 months has been like, how can I create such safety, like separate from what my income does? Because for years in business, it was like this. So it was like when things were going great, I was like, oh my gosh, business is great, like life's great, like I'm so abundant, all the things. And then it's like, okay, when like shit hits the fan, it's like, oh my gosh, like, am I ever gonna get paid? Like, it's all this scarcity stuff that comes in, which also showed me that I'm like, oh, I haven't healed this part of me that needs to be healed. So I feel like the scarcity, when it comes up around like finances of money and like not having enough to go around. And then on a deeper level, it's like me not believing like there is enough for me as well. Like I'm not enough to deserve X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, we can go as deep as we want with that, but that's what I find that comes up around like the scarcity piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess in that moment, like what I would do is like almost like 5 why yourself. Because if that was like if money didn't come around and the fear actually actualized, I asked myself one question: what would that mean about me if that happened?
Yeah, and that's like what a lot of my work over the last 6 months has been. I've been like looking at where I attach my identity with some, like a level of financial status. And I was looking at that and I was like, wow, I attach so much of, you know, how much I make, what I do, all the stuff to my identity. And when that feels like it's going to get compromised, it's like fear, scarcity, all the things. So that was a lot of my work, also separating that and being like, cool, can I be so solid despite, you know, my financial status? Because I feel like when you get to that place in business, it's like you're unstoppable in a way.
Literally, yeah, because your power isn't outside of you anymore. It's uncircumstantial. And then think about the energy that you create from, the energy that you show up with. Then all of a sudden we're magnetic, we're attracting in the clients we want to attract in because we're coming from that place of like overflow of actually really giving and serving. Because ultimately, as coaches, that's what we're doing. We're here to serve. How can we really serve from our heart if we're in survival and stuck? It's just we're going to be creating through fear. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like, you know, that's just the pattern that has been playing since childhood for valid reasons. But now as an adult, like it's so I love that you're saying that's the work I'm focusing on right now to rewire, because it's not just one time that you respond in a new way. It actually takes intentional focus of going back to that same pattern and seeing it and acknowledging and creating that safety for that part of you who's actually shit scared of losing it all, of things failing, not because of the failure, but because what it would mean about her if that happened. And in that moment, you have the opportunity to reclaim your worth. It's just being whole, like the very first thing we said at this conversation, being whole as who you are right now, regardless of external outcome. And when you feel that internally, again, we access love and compassion that activates our zone of safety. This can happen in minutes. Like it doesn't have to be this huge drawn out process. It can literally happen so fast. You reclaim your power and then you can get on with the rest of your day from a more grounded state. So that is it in real time. That is how rewiring works.
Yeah, and I love that. And one thing that I started doing like 6 months ago was like in every area of my life, how can I be so grateful around money, finances, every little piece around like anything that was coming in, or even things that I had to pay for, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I had to pay X, Y, and Z for this coffee this morning. It's like, oh, I'm so grateful I can go out and pay this coffee. And creating like that new relationship with money rather than being like this scarcity thing around it. As a business owner now and along your journey, like we've spoken about this, it's like you never come to a point where I'm whole, I'm healed, like I never deal with dysregulation, I never deal with beliefs, like, you know, my mind's just perfect, right? That's never the goal. What do you find now being on your journey that you do in a day in, day out, and just like to support your nervous system? Because one thing that I have want to focus on this year as a business owner is like, how can I move in business from a place of like prioritizing my nervous system first, rather than like getting to a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to do something because my life's chaotic, right? And my
Mm.
body's overwhelmed, my mind's overwhelmed. What do you implement, whether it's daily practices, whether it's like reflections, like whatever it is, to help support your nervous system as a business owner?
So what we just spoke about is one like 50, like it's like 50-50, right? 50% of my work goes into that. And that's having a morning practice of how I actually want, like, how do I want my day to go? If this was the best day of my life, if I was so regulated today and I was living my best regulated life, what does that look like? And when I am showing up in that way, when limitations come my way, how am I going to respond? I ask myself that question every day because, of course, things are going to come my way. And then if I've already seen that and familiarized myself with how I'm going to respond in the moment when it does come up, it's so much easier to be conscious of it, respond in that way, and just move the hell on. So that journal practice is really important for me, doing that in the morning and in the evening. So in the evening, I'll also reflect on the day of what went well, like what are my wins, what are my highlights, but also where did I slip into unconscious patterns that I was totally blind to in the moment. Cool. How would I love to have responded? How can I actually create that safety that maybe I missed the opportunity earlier on? How can I create that now before I go to bed? And I always fall asleep visualizing myself the next day of how I want to show up, empowered, free, fulfilled, like living my best life. I love that work so much. But I guess the other thing that I do, in order for me to be very clear on that, I first need to have a vision of my future. So before I was doing the business coaching, I was primarily doing manifestation coaching, but from the lens of the nervous system, because it is my deepest belief that we are not the creators of our reality if we don't know how to work with our nervous system. Like our nervous system is creating our reality, not us. And until you understand how to work with it, only then do you step back into the driver's seat of your life. So something I'm really, really big on for every business owner, in order to stay regulated, like what does that even look like for you? It's such a a weightless question otherwise, of like, well, what does that look like? What does it look like, feel like? How do you show up when you're truly regulated? Like, get so crystal clear on that. Make a vision board of that. Like, feel what it's like to be that version, because once you do that, you can start to access that future version of you today. And this is how you expand into that regulated self, realizing that it's not outside of you, it's not in a practice, it's in a decision. It's one decision away, always. So getting clear on what that vision looks like, who that future you is, and having a practice to feel her, to like have thoughts that the way, like to familiarize yourself with how she thinks, the actions she takes, and just start to slowly lean into that. And then you'll realize that elation isn't this faraway dream. It's really not. It's so close, and it's waiting for you to claim it. You just have to claim it.
I love that. And I think even something that I do as well is that question around like, how do I want to feel, or what's going to be most supportive, in my life at the moment to support me being like feeling that feeling regulated, right? Because as you said, like being like, oh, what do you do to regulate yourself? Like, I was literally thinking like, oh, you might list like, I do this thing, I do this thing, I do that thing. And it's like, everyone's going to have a different, like what works for them. And it's not the one practice that is going to be the miracle cure. It's more so like, how can I live in a state where my body is regulated, right? And what does that look like? And then you reverse engineer it down to like, okay, cool. It means I'm eating, healthy fats and high protein and like meals throughout the day, and I'm doing all that stuff. So I really, really like love that perspective on it. As we come to the end of this podcast today, and thank you so much for all your wisdom around all the different things. I feel like we could just chat all day long about this, and I feel like when we hang out, we do. Yeah. We just sit down for like 3 to 4 hours and just chat about all the things. But when it comes to like one last piece around like the nervous system and business owners, is there any last piece of advice or tips or something that you're like, I would love everyone to just walk away with this like one key takeaway?
I feel like, yeah, the key takeaway is you are actually not the CEO of your business. Your nervous system is. And until you understand how to, where your nervous system is currently at and how to work it, your reality and your business will be dictated by you don't have conscious control. Like you literally don't, you're not the CEO of your business. You think you are, but you're actually not. And if you really want to sit into the driver's seat, like make this a priority. This is not like a willy-nilly conversation. If you're just prioritizing the strategy work and you feel capped in your business right now, you're like, I'm doing everything. Like maybe it's because you're not actually addressing the 80% of what is actually determining your success. So like, don't just leave this conversation feeling like inspired. Like leave this conversation actually with taking a new plan and a new approach to your business to take all of you into account. Because if you want to reach 100% of your business potential, 20% strategy, 80% nervous system, prioritize both. And I think what happened to me in my business early days was I started with the strategy and then I realized, okay, I'm really stuck. But then I pendulum swinged into just doing the healing work as well. And then that can also be damaging to your business because then everything is healing, everything is emotional. So you want to find balance between the masculine and the feminine and hit that sweet spot. And that just takes time. But yeah, I think that's probably the take home message is try to find your sweet spot with both of this work so that you can fully step into 100% of your potential. Because if you're doing one or the other, you're actually capping yourself. And there's so much waiting for you and ready for you. And it's really not that hard. Like the strategies are simple on both sides of the coin. For even with the emotional work, the nervous system work, there's just a few simple strategies to learn, and once you know them you can support yourself and just move on and create whatever the hell you want because it's all waiting for you. It really is.
Yeah, and I love that. And yeah, I just want to say thank you again for having this conversation and doing it in person. It's been such a pleasure to, I think, like pick your brain on, obviously we talk about these things when we just chat because yeah, like I just love this conversation. But like hearing you like speak in like your coaching and like expertise, I'm like, it's really cool to see. And I think it just shows like evidence of how much you're embodied in this work and how much knowledge you have to share. So thank you again for joining us. And for everyone listening, I will leave Hannah's link down below of the nervous system audit, and I will leave a link down below if you are interested in finding out more about her. Give her a follow on Instagram. Otherwise, I thank you for tuning in to today's podcast episode, and I will see you back in next week's episode of In Conversation with Christina. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.